Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi. Efi, Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Mud and sweat on polished leather, warm rain seeping to the bone. They rode through the seasons, wet weather, straining for a glimpse of the foe. Hopeless battalion, destined to die, broken by the benders of kings. Vainglorious general, Victorian pride, would cost him and 800 men their lives.
Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi. Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi. Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Ashikani babe,
Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Ashikani babe, Ashikani babe,
Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Ashikani babe, Ashikani babe,
Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Ashikani babe, Ashikani babe,
Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Ashikani babe, Ashikani babe,
Komani Sipiesa, Komani mecca tinta mabobesi.
Let's talk about Knuckle City. Let's talk about Knuckle City, the current love of my life. The first movie I've watched in a very, very long time that made me fall in love with it. That made me fall in love with yonke into, the way the story is told, the actors. It gave me everything I want out of a work of art, especially in this medium. Ibina yonke into, there was drama, there was suspense, there were parts that were shocking. I was shocked. I had to pause multiple times just to catch my breath. There were a few moments where it was genuinely funny and I chuckled. There were scandals. It was scandalous. Like, guys, I'm Nandile movie. It was clear who I was supposed to root for. Even though the person was kind of an anti-hero because they did some suspect things, but you were still rooting for them to win. There were high stakes. There were high stakes involved. I knew if he was losing what he's going to be losing, and I didn't want to see him lose. Guys, Imnandile movie. I loved it. From the beginning to the end. I loved it. Creed has nothing on this. I mean, Apollo Creed who? Rocky Balboa where? Eh? There's a war coming in the small town of Mdantsane between the Nyakama brothers and Izita Zabo. A war that started decades before their existence. A war for their father's legacy. A war to take back yonke into that they have lost. A war for survival. A war between life and death. Kodwa, how did they lose everything? Why don't they have anything of their own at their big age except for their God-given talents? To answer these questions, we have to look at their foundation, their first teachers. Dudu and Duke looked up to their father, Dudu Nyakama, a former world boxing dondon, now a boxing gym owner, philanderer, and ukhunta. So, Uta At showed his boys two ways of life: boxing and criminality. Kodwa, his underlying message was always that nothing was more important than family, which was beautiful. But it came out of the mouth of an abuser who constantly, repeatedly, and consistently cheated on the mother of his children with younger girls, some of them who were still in school. Dudu and Duke, his two boys, witnessed this. His oldest, Dudu, ended up a boxer, a single father of 4, and you guessed it, a sexual predator. His younger brother Duke, who showed such great entrepreneurial spirit, albeit illegal, from a very young age, Duke ended up a criminal. Both men followed their father's footsteps. So we know that Utaat was toxic. What about their mother? Naye ebe toxic. She had extremely low self-esteem, crying on her knees after a man who beat her, begging for him to stay, begging for him not to leave her, accepting abuse, verbal and physically, accepting his cheating ways, and every time he left, he would come back to open arms, namatanga ashushu. The boys saw this, all of it, and it was internalized, only for it to show up in their adult life. As adults, Ududu and Duke did not get along. They disagree on everything, down to how Dudu chose to raise his firstborn, Unosisi. Oh, Bethuna Unosisi. Unosisi waqhwaba umalume wakhe, waqhwaba utatakhe, wabeka umthetho. Imagine a girl of 16, 15, 16. She's still in high school, slapping both her uncle and her father for making a scene in public. They were acting irrational, they were being overly emotional, they were fighting like little boys and threatening to kill each other. And she slapped the both of them to bring them back to their senses. At that time, when that happened, in that moment, I was living. I don't know why, and I don't look like it, but into eneskezo ndiyayithanda just a little bit. But okay, Nosisi's actions, those of her father and her uncle, all stem from the foundation, the toxic, dysfunctional, abusive foundation. I know I spent this whole time talking about how the lives of Dudu and Duke and the people around them are the way they are because of their parents. I do stand by that. But it would be unfair of me to not place some of the blame on the adults, of which Dudu and Duke are adults at this point. It's hard to change your ways once they're set in stone, and neither of them tried to change. Neither of them wanted to change. They were happy and comfortable and stewing in their toxicity. Even though Ilokeshi Yonke was talking about them, their actions, from Dudu sleeping with young girls to Ujuk going around beating people up, they were thriving in that environment. An environment that already has affected Unosisi and will continue to affect her younger siblings, who all looked under the age of 10. It would have been nice to see them take accountability for their actions. The war took place in a boxing ring. Dudu was given one chance, and that was to win. He was told his win would secure Knuckle City, the boxing gym his father started, which they lost after his father's death. His win would literally save the lives of his family members, who were all surrounded by hitmen. And, of course, Dudu won. He won the match, got the gem, he saved his family. Phela phela ngentombi.